a little bit recapitulation. Okay, please off first. Okay. So class, take a look. Okay. So we are still in chapter 4. It seems we cannot. It seems the area is so big, and we move so slow. Stage 1 is explaining the differences in the type of people who undertake the path. Then stage 2 explains the elements that make up this path. Then in stage 3 is defining the noble truth of the path to cessation as embodied by the 3 training and the noble eightfold path. A class, basically, we are in the noble eightfold path. The first 5 of the 8th path, we are in the right understanding, paticca samuppada. So let's take a look. Verse number 97, right understanding also means insight into the 4 truths. Knowing the 4 noble truths as they are, one should severe accumulation and practice the way, and should realize the extinction of the pain of confusion. For from extinction, one realized nibbana. Okay, so meaning to say that we are in the 4 noble truths. Okay, so the extinction of ignorance leads to the extinction of action. Okay, the 4 truths are also concerned with cause and effect. Okay. Okay. Then, okay, the Buddha further said that the suffering should be known, it should be profoundly understood and recognized, because only if one profoundly understands that the world is by nature oppressive, will one wish to renounce the world and seek the liberation. Okay. And then, okay, so in the previous lesson, we talked about the South Central India school of thought held the view of subtle understanding, and that is they understood the truth of extinction in order to attain the way. So we need to say that in the previous lesson, we have gone through the controversy issue whether the 4 noble truths could be suddenly realized or you have to enlighten gradually or by certain way for the 4 noble truths. Okay, Mr. Leong, have you ever gone through suddenly realized the 4 noble truths? Realized the 4 noble truths in a certain way. Have you ever discovered this during your time in Theravada study? On the mic.
Yes, sometimes off and on it comes spontaneous like that.
I will tell you you heard about whether certain you can realize the 4 noble truths just spontaneously yes. Okay, thank you so much. So let's take a look. The last sentence is the sutra said that without the intuitive experience of the first 3 truths, one cannot have the insight of the truth of the way. And that the 4 truths are to be entered gradually, just as one could climb a steep way. Basically, I think subtle and the gradual realization both are correct. Meaning to say that without the fundamental from the graduate realization, you wouldn't have the sudden moment. And the sudden moment is the accumulation from the graduate. Okay, I think this is our conclusion in our previous lesson. Sally, can you remember? Or you don't remember? Remember, okay, so very good. So now we go to the new paragraph. However, okay, 2 paragraphs. Sally, can you please read through it?
Okay. However, the profound understanding of and belief in the direct realization of 4 truths, also called the benefit that has been realized, is not about the realization of the 4 real substances. Truth means investigation without distortion. Therefore, is one can firmly identify the values of these 4, that person has realized belief. For example, for the truth of suffering, birth and death are impermanent, insecure, without a self, and uncomfortable. The ability to understand profoundly and believe without doubts that the nature of the fact of birth and death is distressful, is also seeing the truth of suffering. Afflictions and the good and evil karma are triggered by them can lead to birth and death. The real reason for the continuation of birth and death is the causal nature of the confusion and karma. If one profoundly understands and believes without doubt, one can seize the truth of accumulation. Once the afflictions are eliminated, birth and death will no longer arise. If one profoundly understands and believes without ever doubting in the quiet, wonderful, renouncing, and transcendent nature, which is also the independent nature without any binding or attachment, then one sees the truth of extinction. With the Eightfold Right Path, there is renunciation. Without, there is definitely no renunciation. The ability to understand profoundly and believe without ever doubting that the inevitable nature of the Eightfold Right Path goes towards Nirvana. This is called seeing the truth of the way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sifu, extend it a bit.
Okay. Better.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, it seems the translator really worked very hard. Every sentence, he doesn't omit, he just follow every sentence and translate from the Mandarin text. Okay, class, actually, here, once we talk about sudden realization or gradual realization for Four Noble Truth, now we talk about the direct realization. Okay, direct realization is the experience that immediately in present life you experience that. Okay, well, basically, once we talk about certain realization or gradual realization, it is a little bit difficult for us to understand. Okay, basically, we can see the thing easily a little bit if we go through the pagoda again, class. Okay, so class, basically, the most important one is the purification of the virtue. All right, and the last one will be the nibbana. Okay, here the meaning to say that where do they experience the Four Noble Truths? Okay, well, if according to the Theravada, okay, some they redefine the Four Noble Truths. For them, okay, purification of view, okay, is the truth of suffering, and overcoming the doubt is the truth of the cause. Okay, and then from knowledge and vision of path and not path, until to before the nibbana, they carry us the truth of the the truth of the path, and this is the truth of the extinction. Okay, so meaning to say that in order to realize this, according to Theravada, you have to realize, just one step by one step. Okay, one step by one step, you realize it. And there's another teaching mentioned that once you arise the path and the magga, the path and the fruit, immediately from the path itself, Four Noble Truths is already, it's already contained in the nibbana, in the path and the fruit itself. So class, basically, for this, it's a controversy issue. In order to explain better that certain realization for Four Noble Truths, some will put the Four Noble Truths and the Eight Noble Path in the Magga and Palachita. Because Magga Palachita, there's only one moment, but one moment, it can contain all the elements there. From here, Abhidhamma, which is popular in Myanmar, they will try to use the mental factor to explain the Magga and Palachita. Because Magga and Palachita, if they go to analyze it, you can see so many mental factors. So meaning to say that they will explain that Eight Noble Path and also the Four Noble Truths could be the elements within the Magga and Palachita. This is how, the explanation. Because sometimes, even though, from the language, we know, Four Noble Truths, Eight Noble Path, but sometimes it seems we explain in our daily life, am I right? We say a cause of the suffering, the suffering from birth, death. Okay, I met the people who I hate. Okay, I have to separate from the people who I like. You see or not? This is a daily life example, right? But here, suddenly he said, you can suddenly realize all the Four Noble Truths. You see or not? I don't know. I don't know whether you don't ask why you don't ask the question. For me, in my past learning, it's really troubling me. Then I realized that Abhidhamma way we explain that everything by using the mental factor. So all the Four Noble Truths and Eight Noble Path could be unfold during one moment only. One moment is really enough to unfold and included everything. But if you explain through the Nikaya, basically they will put everything in the daily life. So class, you got it? And so you have to understand that from Abhidhamma way and Nikaya way to interpret, all these Four Noble Truths, Eight Noble Path, they will be quite different. And once they use it to apply in the meditation method, they will also different. So this is why in Thailand, the meditation will go more simplicity. You found that it's more simple. The reason is it could many things you don't see much detail inside the Nikaya. So they just use it to explain. So Four Noble Truths also come with a simple way only. Okay, but whereas now we go to the controversy issue more on Abhidhamma, because basically once Nikaya teaching so simple, it goes to the Buddha disciple. No matter, especially the controversy between the Sarvastivada and also the Theravada and also Mahasamgika, they will have a different way to see all this. Okay, you get it? So just now we just gone through is the controversy issue between them. Okay, never mind. Even though Elena showed that it doesn't matter because as long as you go through it, one day you go to do the repentance, basically all will be included. Because the Chinese monk, they are very smart actually. Their intelligence quite high. The way I see they write the repentance, they include all this dharma inside. But just until now, not many people, especially chanting monk, can really understand. So they just follow to the chanting only. Basically, that's what people do. They don't do much explanation because sometimes the text can go as profound as this. You see, even though we full-time explain, also not that easy to really fully understand it. So you got it? Okay. So anyway, it is good we exposed to this. Then take a look, class. Okay, from here, we talk about that. Okay, true meaning investigation without the distortion. Here, explain the Four Noble Truths. Okay, if someone can firmly identify the value of these four, the person has realized belief. Take a look. So for those who can really understand the Four Noble Truths, can realize the Four Noble Truths, you are the one who enlightened. Okay. Now next, let's take a look. Okay, for the truth of suffering, birth and death are impermanent, insecure, without a self and uncomfort. So that is the truth, what the experience. A class, if let's say used in the daily life, we will say that, oh, I see the Four Noble Truths because I saw people die. Okay, I saw people sick. I also sick. So this is the Nikaya way, so simple. But in Abhidharma, they will go everything analyze to the Kalapa, the particles. So from the particle, they observe the Four Noble Truths. So that's the difference. Okay. Then next, let's take a look. Okay, affliction and the good and evil karma that are triggered by them can lead to the birth and death. Okay. So meaning to say that this is according, same lah. Okay. Yeah, Sally, from this sentence, okay, if we go to take a look to the wheel, the 12 patika samubada, which part is it? Affliction and the good and evil karma triggered by them. That means the avijja lead to the birth and death. Can you remember? Can you recall in which stage is it lah? Sally, take a look. In which one, Sally, the way you see that from that sentence? How about Elena? You never might just have a guess, okay, why no response, Elena, sometimes I think you buy share also by guessing only, you wouldn't read all the financial report, so just guess like this, No, you never on the mic yet. Elena, you haven't on the mic yet.
No, I don't buy shares in the office. I'm just in the operation and side. So if my fund manager were to buy shares like that, I better quit.
Okay, never mind. So, okay. How about Mr. Liam? In which one you guess from that sentence? Do you on your mic, Mr. Leong?
Okay, it's future effects.
Again?
Future effects.
Future effects, yes, this is correct. So meaning to say that the present cause, which is the attachment, will lead to the birth and death, okay? And also maybe you also can say from here, one day is a mental formation, you will create a consciousness in the future life. both is okay. So meaning to say that good or bad karma is available in the mental formation or the becoming. So class, please take notes there. Please write the mental formation and the becoming in the good and bad karma, because both of them are the karma itself. They will create the karma. Yeah, very good, Mr. Leong. I see Mr. Leong can really fully understand the whole the whole chakra. Yeah, okay, the whole Paticca Samuppada. Okay. Sally, the way I see you, you will try to listen to the recording. Am I right? You used to repeat listening to recording. This is good. So Sally, because Mr. Leong learned, the time, the duration Mr. Leong learned is longer than you. So you really need time to pick it up, okay? So that once the meditation, you can really link everything together. Okay, so next, let's take a look. Okay, you already write down this part. Okay, if one profoundly understands and believes without even doubting in the quiet, wonderful, renouncing and transcendental nature, which is also the independent nature without any binding or attachment, then one sees the true extinction. Plus, what does that mean? You see, if we are able, the true of extinction, class, meaning to say that once, in order to realize the Nibbana, we must be able to see that, especially the attachment, you are able to see that the independent nature without any binding or attachment. Class, this is the reason sometimes the Nibbana, they define as without any great hatred and stupidity. Because Nibbana is the only situation that we don't see any one of it. Okay, this is how the Nikaya way to interpret it. But if from a commentary, they will say that if let's say Puff and Magga Chitta arise, and they will, and the object will be the Nibbana. There must be Nibbana. Wherever consciousness arise, there must be one object together with it. This is the theory. So Mr. Leong, that's why if previously you used to follow the tight monk style, basically they won't provide you much detail because they strictly follow the Nikaya. But, okay, am I right? If you follow the Burmese monk, basically, especially from the Abhidhamma, they will provide you a lot of details. Am I correct, Mr. Leong? So that is the difference. If you follow different teacher, they will guide you because the background, due to the background. Yes.
Yeah, because the Abhidhamma, they will explain in more detail as to how we can arrive at the Nikaya side aspect of it.
Yeah, I think you like Abhidhamma, you prefer it, you prefer the details, right, Mr. Leong? Am I right?
Yeah, because then we will understand the behind it.
Yeah. Okay, so Mr. Leong will aim for Abhidhamma. This is good. Okay, then let's try to further have a look. Okay, you see, the ability to understand profoundly and believe without even doubting that the inevitable nature of the eightfold right path goes towards Nibbana. Okay, class, this type of Nibbana, well, basically they got the two types of Nibbana. Once we call it as a mandate Nibbana. Second, we call it as a supra-mandate Nibbana. This type of Nibbana, class, please take a close look to this sentence. It is a supra-mandate Nibbana or is a mandate Nibbana? Elena, please take a guess.
Supramundane.
Yes, bingo. Okay, we must enjoy a little bit because it will be too boring, very taxing. That's correct. Why Elena will guess this? Class, I think the path towards the Nibbana. Let's say always mention the link together the Noble Path to the Nirvana, it must be the supramandate. And if it's a supramandate, meaning to say that in Dharma, one moment will include everything. That is the way. That is the way. Because if explained in such a manner, it is quite hard to understand how to define the supramandate. Because we already supra already, you see. If it's a mandate, then we can define it one by one, see one by one. But if it's a supra, everything will be included there already. Basically, class for Eight Noble Path, if it's a mandate Noble Path, basically some can happen together. Some cannot happen together. For example, you say the right speech, okay? You have a right speech and also have a right action. Right speech and right action couldn't happen simultaneously. You see, not when you speak, you don't do any action. When you do action, you don't speak, right? So meaning to say that for one particular moment, they will allow only one thing happens only. So that is supramandate. Okay, Nibbana. So a supramandate, ignoble truth. But if it's this is the mandate. If it's a supramandate, all eggs can appear together. So that is the different thing. Okay, so we go to the next sentence. Elena, please can you read through it? This doubtless.
This doubtless firm belief in the affirmation of suffering, accumulation, extinction, and the way is the profound understanding and belief in four types of value, which of course come in sequence. But this belief is not in conflict with the extinct nature of dependent origination. The realization of the truth of extinction. The extinct nature of dependent origination is very profound and broad, immeasurable and infinite, forever extinct. This is the true Dhamma that surpasses the relative nature of dependent origination. The extinct nature is fundamentally like this, inevitably like this, and is called the nature of the Dhamma, the dwelling of the Dhamma, or the realm of the Dhamma. Seeing the true extinction is not like the aforesaid firm belief in the values. It is actually realization of the extinct nature itself, which surpasses relativity and is equal, non-dual, and without any sequence. In the process of truly contemplating the dependently originated accumulation and extinction, practitioners attain a distancing from love, a desireless, and a realization of nature of extinction. Thus, in attaining the way, they have also realized four truths. However, with regard to the wisdom to see the way, there should be some sort of sequence to how it arises. This is like suddenly discovering a collection of treasures, but checking them and taking each item one by one. This is one of the ancient masters' explanation. Both instant understanding or gradual understanding should be like this, seeing extinction and attaining the way. This is the innumerable students of Buddhism have practiced and realized in the past. This fact should not be doubted. The realization of the truth of extinction is the realization of the extinct nature itself, and is not the same as seeing the four truths, firmly recognizing four types of value.
Okay, thank you so much. did we go through this part in the process of truly contemplating? Elena, have you read through it, right, Elena?
Yes, we went through it.
Okay, thank you. I get confused a little bit.
Back to the bottom already.
Yeah. Okay, class. Okay, class. Basically, what we highlight just now, mostly the text is come from the Nikaya itself. Okay, it's more about the ultimate truth of the Nibbana. According to the text, it mentioned that what is the Nibbana? Once you attain to the state without non-dual. Okay, what does it mean dual? In our reality world, they used to be opposite, meaning to say that we will see things opposite, good and bad, okay, fat or thin, all these things. Basically, everything's come to the duality. But once you realize the Nibbana, there's no more duality. And then from the text, it's mentioned that this type of extinction and the extinction itself, it used to be witnessed and proved by most of the disciples. So class, you see, for the Paticca Samuppada, in the very beginning until now, we talk about so many details regarding the 12 link, all right? Each one by each one definition. Then we come here, keep on repeating that. You see, it's meaning to say that all the 12 condition is very profound, okay? And as deep as like an ocean, okay? This is keep on mentioning. So class, you take a look. If this type of Dharma, for you, okay, Elena, you would choose to introduce Western Pure Land to your mother, or you would prefer choose to introduce this type of Dharma to your mother, Elena?
My late mother, Western Pure Land. Easier, that one is easier.
Easier not, but basically, the Dharma shouldn't be that simple, you know. Of course, so that's why Western Pure Land attracts so many big crowd, because it's not easy. But of course, if let's say the Dharma just remain a Western Pure Land only, I think most of the intellectual, they will run away. You know what I mean? Because the intellectual, they aim for the more comprehensive, more details things, you see. Okay, so this is the reason why you have to understand that in Theravada, they will be more attractive to the intellectual, especially for this part of the Dharma. Okay, class, there's a few words you have to remember. Okay, let's take a look. You see, here, according here, you see, let me see. Okay, you see, one, the very profound, broad, immeasurable, and infinite, forever extended, you see. Keep on repeat. The Four Noble, the 12 link condition is not that simple. And once you experience the extinction, the nature, that we call it as the nature of Dharma, the dwelling of the Dharma, and the realm of the Dharma. Okay, in Mandarin is 法界法住 法界跟法住 okay, do you need to copy down the words or not? Are you going to encounter it? Elena, Sally, do you used to encounter this type of word 法住 法界 during the chanting? You don't know. You don't know whether they encounter or not. Okay, so this is okay. I think even for Mr. Leong, you also see what is it? Dueling in the Dharma, right? Because it is translated from the classical Chinese, and the classical Chinese is from the Sanskrit. If they translate from Sanskrit to English, I think for Mr. Leong you can understand it easily. But once it's go to the Mandarin, you see, Mr. Leong, I think you also pusing kepala, right? You see, dueling of the Dharma, ram of the Dharma. You know what is it about, right? Basically, if you want to really understand, it's still the same thing only. We talk about the Nibbana. Okay, I think I better let both of you try to copy down the Mandarin word. Dueling the Dharma and the realm of the Dharma. Please write it down. It's this.
Sifu,
Yes, okay.
can I say that this three is first of all learning the Dharma, practicing the Dharma, and realization of the Dharma?
Can you repeat lah? Your line is not that good. Can you repeat? Yes.
First of all, is learning the Dharma, is the nature of the Dharma, and then practicing the Dharma, that is dwelling in the Dharma. And realization, that means in the realm of the Dharma, because we already realized it.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. Okay. So basically, class. Okay, you have copied down the Chinese word lah. Okay. So meaning to say that whatever you write down all here is talk about realizing the Dharma and the Dharma itself. You see. So that's the meaning. Okay. Practitioner attain a distancing from love, a desirelessness, a realization of nature of extinction. So all is the explanation to the Nibbana. Because class, if let's say always if we fail to provide a comprehensive explanation of Nibbana, I mean, especially for intellectual, they will feel unsatisfied. So I mean, this part, I try to provide a sufficient explanation to you all. Okay. So Sally, are you satisfied with the explanation of the Nibbana so far? Don't know how to answer. No comment. Okay, the best. Okay, see not. Seeing extinction and attaining the way, that is what innumerable students of Buddhism have practiced and realized the path. This fact should not be doubt. Okay, the truth of extinction and extinction itself. Okay, so that is the whole thing lah. Okay, now we go to the new paragraph is using the wordly to enter the word transcending. So word transcending is the supramandate. Okay, so Elena, your turn. Because Mr. Liao, the sound system is not that good. First,
Using the wordly to enter the word transcending. First attain the wisdom that abides in the Dhamma. Then attain the wisdom that comes from Nirvana. Following conventional truth to align oneself with reality is the way of right contemplation. In the right understanding of the middle way, there is a fixed sequence. First attain the wisdom that abides in the Dhamma, and then one attains the wisdom that comes from Nirvana. The Buddha told Susima, whether you know it or not, you should first attain the wisdom that abides in the Dhamma, and then the wisdom that comes from Nirvana. How unambiguous is this? What is the wisdom that abides in the Dhamma and that which comes from Nirvana? According to the Sutra on the 77 types of wisdom, the dependent origination of all sentient beings, birth and death, is the same in the present, the past, and the future. Realizing that origination cannot happen without a definite relationship of cause, ignorance, and the effect, action, is the wisdom that abides in the Dhamma. The wisdom that abides in the Dhamma is thus decisive in understanding the dependent origination of cause and effect. Even though this is an understanding of the illusory worldly dependent origination, if one cannot understand that dependent origination is relative and conventionally designated, but believes instead that good and evil, karmic retribution, the 3 periods, and so forth really exist, one only has a worldly right understanding that cannot be called wisdom. Knowing and understanding it is nevertheless required for the attaining of the way with the right understanding.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Sally, finish. Okay. So class, take a look. What does the whole sentence mention about? This relates to this class. Okay. According to this sentence, this is here. Where is the paticca samuppada? Okay, it's in the overcoming purification by overcoming the doubt. Okay, you must be able to know the cause for you see knowing of the discerning cause and condition, meaning to say that from paticca samuppada we have to really understand the cause. What is the condition for each other? Let's take a look. You see, in order this paticca samuppada arises, there must be the cause. Okay, ignorance. Okay, there must be the ignorance. Then the mental formation will arise, and there must be the mental formation. Then the consciousness arise. Okay, so this is the relationship we know between each other. If let's say you cannot understand the cause for each other, the arising for each other, okay, sorry to mention that you cannot attain to the Nibbana. So in a simple way to say that if you feel to fully understand the paticca samuppada for this, the 12 link and condition, you will not be able to experience the nibbana. So that is the meaning here. So class, take a look at why I explain so. Let's take a look. You see, one attain the wisdom that abides in the Dharma. What does mean abide in the Dharma? Meaning to say that then one attains the wisdom that come from the Nibbana. He said that you want to realize the Nibbana, you have to know the Dharma abide, the wisdom abide in the Dharma first. Okay, what is the wisdom abide in the Dharma? That is in the Paticca Samuppada. This is the sutra relates to the Susima, okay, which is relates to the Susima. Okay, class, can you check for me? Number 50, what is the reference for the number 50? What's the reference? SA. Okay, Samyutta Agama. Okay. So class, you just take a look at how.
SP14.
Yes.
SP14.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's a Samyutta Agama. So class, you be careful. For the Theravada, especially in Myanmar tradition, in order to attain Nibbana, you must have the knowledge of the Paticca Samuppada. This is the reference for it. But of course, here, they is so firm that you have to know Paticca Samuppada, the wisdom which is in the cause and condition. But of course, if you go to meditate in the Mahayana environment, you hardly heard about Paticca Samuppada. Is this correct? You can hardly heard about. In Mahayana, usually you heard is mantra chanting, Western Pure Land, all this only. So that is quite different. I mean, the way they emphasize it. Then you see the dependent origination of all sentient beings, birth and death is the same in the present, past, and the future. So class, it refers to what? It refers to this, you see. Past, present, futures. In the past, it must be the ignorance, and also there must be the karma to create the consciousness. And here, got the feeling, we create the craving, and there must be the becoming that come to the birth. You see, everybody is the same. Past, present, and future. Everybody is the same only, you see. So meaning to say that realizing that origination cannot happen without a definite relationship of the cause. There must be the cause. Class, take a look, ignorance, and also the action. So meaning to say that you have to truly understand this, then you will get the knowledge of the wisdom abiding in the Dharma. Then once you really experience this, then you can experience the Nibbana. So you see, even though the dependent origination is relative and conventionally designed, okay, even though it is relatively conventionally designed, meaning to say that the way we see the whole thing is very conventional, of course, okay, it's very conventional, but without this type of knowledge, you can't develop the Nibbana. Mr. Leong, during your study in the Theravada, have you ever come across this type of perception? With the knowledge.
Yes, but then the thing is, if you want to understand, further, then we must go into depth and understand the dependent origination.
Okay, quite same quite same meaning to say basically most of the Theravada, they really emphasize over this. Okay, now I'll go to the next sentence. Yes, your turn, Sally.
Sutra says that following this method to contemplate the law of dependent origination in which there is birth and extinction, ending, decaying, departing, is wisdom that comes from nirvana. From contemplation and the impermanence of dependent origination, one sees that all things are like sparks or flashes of lightning that where and go nowhere, which corresponds with the Dharma's impermanence, with the Dharma's nature, calmness, and extinction. As it is said, all conditional things are impermanent. Is the law of birth and death. After birth and death comes to the end, extinction is bliss. Practices that realize impermanence and then the non-existence of self and thereby align one with extinction, are the principal doctrines of emancipation in the Dharma common to the three vehicles. There is also the doctrine of aligning oneself with extinction through the contemplation of emptiness and formlessness. Through the wisdom that abides the Dharma, therefore one knows that there is transmigration and knows certainty of cause and effect. And through the wisdom that comes from Nirvana, one knows the return of extinction and the extinct and empty nature of cause and effect. With the wisdom that abides the Dharma, one knows that there is birth and extinction. And with the wisdom that comes from Nirvana, one knows that there's neither birth or extinction. With the wisdom that abides in the Dharma, one knows the condition and the worldly. And wisdom that comes from Nirvana, one knows the unconditioned and the world transcending. Realizing the conventional truth of cause and effect in the dependent origination and subsequently aligning to the reality of dependent origination's extinction. This is the inevitable cause of the right of This is the inevitable cause of the way of right contemplation. Mistaken tendency on the part of some, especially those who are older and have considerable worldly knowledge, but now wants to seek the Buddha Dharma. To want only the wisdom that comes from Nirvana, not the wisdom that abides in the Dharma. They usually do not seek to understand the dependent origination's certainty of cause and effect, or to determine the effects of the four truths. Some think that they already know this, but in fact, they have not even a vague notion of them. They think that what they need is enlightenment and an understanding of the mind and its real nature. They do not know that without attaining the wisdom that abides in the Dharma, the wisdom that comes from Nirvana will not arise. Because of their inclination towards enlightenment, whatever they say, do, or seems to always revolve around the mind, its nature, practice, and realization. Thus, they miss out on the required process of enlightenment. Talking emptily about the nature of the mind, emptiness and existence, principle and practice, and between the internal and the external.
Okay, thank you so
In
much.
the past,
Oh, okay.
there were masters who missed the point,
Stop.
thinking that.
Yeah, stop. Okay.
Okay.
Many ready lang. Okay. Mr. Leong, finish?
I haven't. No.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't. Oh. Okay.
Okay, Sally line also not that good lah. Huh?
Yeah, today the line is very bad.
You start to play piano as Mr. Liao used to play.
Yeah, because I am not at my home. Okay.
Sally, finish? Okay, huh? Okay. Okay, class, basically, whatever we highlight just now is still talk about without the knowledge, without the wisdom abiding in the Dharma, you will not able to realize the wisdom in the Nibbana. Okay, so it still emphasize this. Okay, the way we see the author try to criticize. He tried to criticize the time. Because the author is born about 100 years ago. From now, if the author is still alive, he is about 100 something. At his era, there's a lot of cultivator. They aim for the Nibbana, but they don't really understand and don't really go through the knowledge which is abide in the Dharma, meaning to say it's about the Paticca They don't really go through it. I think maybe they have a previous perception that this is all the Hinayana. So as a Mahayana, there's not necessary to study. And here, the author tried to pinpoint that if without the knowledge of the Paticca you will not be able to attain to the Nibbana. Whatever you say, it's just empty words only. You see or not? Just how we highlight the say. Whatever you say is empty words only. Because why? Because from the Paticca you see, we say, once there's an ignorance, then there's a formation. Once there's a formation, and also then we will see is the consciousness. Because from here we will see that everything they are conditional. Meaning to say that everything there is a conditioner to form it. For example, why we all born as a human? Okay, because we have a consciousness. Where does the consciousness come from? It's from our previous karma. Okay, and of course, we got the previous karma and also ignorance at the same time. And of course, at the same time, we got the attachment also. And at the same time, all is in together. Meaning to say that this is something which is based on the condition. All right, and it is not created by God, and also it is not created by nothing. There must be something there. So that is the reason why there is it. Okay, once you understand all this, everything is based on the condition. Okay, you try to observe our materiality and the mentality. You found that all also subject on the condition to rise and fall, to rise and fall. But of course, you must have the power of the samadhi, because samadhi is just like a magnifier. Okay, try to magnify and try to slow down. Okay, the process of rise or fall for the mentality and the materiality. When you slow down and let you see clearly, and you notice that once there's a rise and fall, it must be conditioned. Meaning to say, the existing for whatever, whatever the mentality and materiality, their existence are subject to the condition. Everything in the world are subject to the condition, except one thing only. What is it? Sally?
Nirvana.
Yes, that's true. Clap. Nibbana. Okay, so that is, the whole sentence, the whole text, I keep on mention is this perception. It sounds simple, right? But actually, I also take quite a long time to fully understand all this perception. You see, let's take a look. You see, what I say is this correct? No. Now you see the wisdom. Really, okay. We come here. This is from the sutra. We say, contemplating the impermanence of the dependent origination, then you see the thing like a sparks of the flashes of the light vanish instantly. They come from nowhere and go nowhere. See or not? You must know the partition samabhada. Then you realize that actually, wherever arise and fall, they come from nowhere and they go nowhere. So it used to say in the Dharma, how they say, nowhere they go, nowhere they come. Why? Because everything is based on the condition, just like a fire. Okay, so class, if let's say, okay, if let's say, okay, a candle is lighting, okay, once, okay, the candle, once the fuel no more, the fuel supply no more, where does the fire go? Elena? Where does the fire go? If let's say the
nowhere.
why nowhere? If nowhere, is it somewhere or nowhere? Why nowhere? Because I don't see any light. Why you say nowhere?
The fire extinguished already, where it goes? Do you see anything after that? Nothing.
Yeah, we explained that based on the condition. We are able to see the fire because the condition are from the fuel supply, oxygen, the lead, and also the trigger. So meaning to say that the fire is the phenomena based on all the condition, the same only. Wherever we see okay, the fire is so concrete, right? Hey, we really see it, we can feel it. But basically, it is based on all the condition, so we see the fire. It's the same. Wherever we see ourselves is so solid, right? Very concrete. Very concrete. Everything is very concrete, but also based on many of the condition to make it arise. So once the condition no more, it will disappear. It also disappeared nowhere. It will go nowhere because the condition is not there already. So meaning to say that, like a fire, the fuel supply finish, the fire doesn't go anywhere. It's just because without the condition, then the fire is not there. It's the same. Once we are enlightened, we experience the Nibbana, we go nowhere, actually, we go nowhere. But just because the avidya, the ignorance is already finished, the avidya is just like a fuel supply. Once no more fuel supply, once no more avijja, ignorance, of course, the condition is not perfect. I mean, the condition is not sufficient to make us to continue exist and arise. Got it? Okay. So by using the fire analogy, and you can understand how does the paticca samuppada, the conditioning, play, in these circumstances. So now, in order to make the fuel supply disappear, it's just like we try to, try to make the ignorance disappear. Once no more ignorance, we have no more future life. So this illusion is no more exists. We all living in an illusion. We all living in a conventional truth. But just even though everything is conventional, but we are also subject by the karma. It's just like the people who it's just like if you are in a dreaming. If let's say the tiger chase you during in your dreaming, are you run away or let the tiger bite you, Sally? What happened?
In the dream also you run away.
Yes. If in a dream you are hungry, will you eat or you just let it? Because it's a dream, so I just let myself hungry. Oh, she freeze already. Oh, she frozen already.
Hungry, I'll just leave.
How what lah? Okay, yeah, sure. Many people frozen. Okay, yes. In a dream, if you feel hungry, you will eat also at the same time. So same, even though we are in the illusion, we are in the dream, but we will take everything seriously. The karma, we're still subject to the karma. So do you get it? Okay, so that is the meaning here. Okay, all conditioned things are impermanent. Okay, okay. The wisdom that comes from nirvana, one knows the return to extinction. Of course, okay. With the wisdom that abide in the Dharma, one knows there's a birth and extinction. I see or not? Once we get the wisdom, abide in the Dharma, then we know there's the birth and the extinction. And with the wisdom come from the nirvana, we know that there is neither birth nor extinction. By truly understand the nirvana, we know there is no more birth or extinction. Okay, and by knowing the Dharma, the wisdom abide in the Dharma, we know there is the birth and extinction. Okay, so how to understand this? Basically, class it is related to this. Here, tell us all the condition for the existence. Okay, so we know there's ignorance. So we know there's a mental formation, then we will see there is the existence here, all right? But if let's say ignorance disappeared no more, okay? Once ignorance no more, then everything start to disappear and we will be in the nirvana. So from the nirvana itself, we understand that is the, from the nirvana, we know that there is neither birth nor extinction. Okay, and let's take a look. You see, realizing the conventional truth of cause and effect in independent origination and subsequently aligning with the reality of dependent origination existence. Okay, extinction. Okay. Okay, I think class, that is for today. Okay,